That was as bad a Liverpool performance as I've ever seen under a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team. It just didn't look like a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team. And if you were looking at the silhouettes of the players and you didn't know who they were, you would have never suspected Jurgen Klopp had anything to do with a side that would play football like that. There have been occasions, of course, we've had bad results in the previous years. There's been some terrible away performances against Napoli. There's been a half of football away against Man City where we couldn't keep the ball at all. But generally, if we've ever been completely outplayed, it's at least been against a top side, maybe at a really difficult away ground. And look, granted, Brighton are a very, very good footballing side, for sure. But we were making them look like Barcelona under Pep Guardiola in that game. And that is really, really hard to take. One of the things that's really bothering me about this Liverpool side right now is the fact that we just don't seem to be learning from our mistakes. We've gone behind first again in this game. Apparently the 21st time we've gone behind first in the last 35 games. Atrocious record. The game against Wolves last weekend, 2-2 draw. The amount of challenges Liverpool won in that game was 30-something%. Terrible. And Jurgen Klopp after the game was reiterating how important it is for us actually to win challenges. We then have a week's rest to prep for this game, and it probably took 20 plus minutes for us to win a damn challenge. First 10 minutes of the game, they're neat, tidy players for Brighton, but they're just passing through us like we're not there. Everyone's just ball watching. Nobody's putting a foot in. How can this happen? How can we have the main issue from the last game, a week to prepare, and nothing to change? That first half of football was so hard to watch. We were trying to play like a classic Jurgen Klopp team. We're pressing really high up the pitch, but we're not able to press anymore. Brighton are just cutting through us at will. And it looks so poor. They're switching play, and then every time it's counter-attack, and we're out of position. And then the whole team has to sprint back and use the limited energy that this side actually has. Something's broken. Something is significantly broken in this side right now. The way Brighton were playing through the midfield, Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, no one getting a foot in. The only one player in that first half that looked like he could compete physically was Konate. That was it. And that's definitely not a good sign. So off the ball, we're awful. How can we try to play this high press when we're an average pressing side now? We're not way ahead in the stats like we used to be. When we don't run as much as the opposition. We don't tackle as much as we used to. All these statistics of a quality off the ball side have just dropped drastically this season. But yet we're still trying to play as high up the field as if we're still good at it. It's a recipe for disaster. Then that takes me to the on the ball work. Terrible as well. Again, we couldn't build from the back at all. We couldn't get the ball into midfield. Constantly playing these high hopeful balls down the channels. And honestly, it didn't even look like the forwards were really trying that hard to get on any of them. Nothing worked in that first half. It couldn't have been any worse. And so you're coming into the second half and you're thinking, okay, look, we got in at 0-0. That's as good as it could have been. Get things together, figure out some patterns of play to start building, and let's go at it in the second half. And in fairness to Klopp, generally speaking, when we have a terrible first half, he's able to figure out how to get us playing better in the second. But what do? We come out, and within a minute, Brighton have scored. And within 8, they've scored 2, and the game's over. Whew. This team just don't seem to learn their lessons. And it took being 2-0 down for Henderson to kind of say, okay, I better do something about this. He starts dropping between the centre halves and getting us playing a little bit. But it's too late. It's 2-0. Where was Thiago doing that? Where was Fabinho doing that? Why didn't Henderson do it earlier? Where's the proactivity? Clearly, nothing was working in that first half. And from then, it just got worse and worse for Liverpool. And to be honest, 3-0 was deserved for Brighton. We were that bad. And that's the thing. There's previous games, like against Brentford a couple of weeks ago, we lost 3-1. But as with a lot of games for Liverpool this season, it was kind of a coin flip. XG is about the same. Maybe a couple of decisions go against us. On a different day, we could have got a draw or maybe even a win. And even the games we've won this season, that tends to be the case. But this game, no. Comprehensively outplayed. And again, Brighton are a good side, but they're not a top side. And that's what makes this really, really hard to take. What actually went wrong? Well, the first thing, the ground zero of being a good football team is application. It's work rate. It's very hard to win a game if the other team are trying more than you. And Brighton ran 5 or 6 kilometers more than Liverpool today. But it wasn't even just how much they ran. Just the intensity, the urgency seems so much higher for Brighton versus Liverpool. You felt like Liverpool players were just playing within themselves. They didn't carry that oomph. They didn't seem to, it's a cliche saying, but they did not seem to play like they really wanted it. That's the key though, application. The starting point has to be the application. The second thing is the tactics. The system is just not working. That high press, the poor defensive play, leaving us open to counterattacks when we're not able to press. Either the players aren't carrying out the coach's instruction for pressing, or they're not capable of doing it anymore. And I'm not exactly sure which, to be honest. The way we played off the ball, it was like watching Manchester United under Ralph Rangnick or Solskjaer when things started going wrong. They're trying to press, but they don't quite know how to do it properly. And they keep getting played around, and they're made to look stupid. And then when they get the ball, they don't seem to know what to do. That's unfortunately what we looked like. Or, if it's the latter, we don't have the players physically can't do it anymore. And then it's a personnel question, and that means we need to then get in the transfer market and get some players with energy, with physicality, whose primary focus is actually winning the ball, who can do some of the dogged donkey work or water carrying for some of the other players who don't seem to either want to do it or are able to do it anymore. Because we're a very, very average team off the ball right now. I know we've already bought Gakpo in this January window, but the owners need to get the checkbook out again. We need something. And I don't believe that we need 50 million to get a decent midfielder. It's a lot easier to get the traits that I'm describing than a super skillful, silky, clever player. There's a lot of hardworking, strong, fast ball winners around the world. We're making it out like there's only a handful of players in the world who are good enough to play for us right now, and that is absolutely not the case. Something has to change, and it has to change soon. As bad as the midfield is, it's not all the midfield's fault. I do really feel like the forward line is a big contributor to the lack of pressing or the poor quality of pressing in this Liverpool side right now. I mean, Ox, he's a squad player at best. We're unlucky that we've got four forwards injured, sure. But in the past, Firmino was our trigger for the press. He was very good at winning the ball. Now he's always injured. His energy isn't as high. Mane was a quality presser of the ball, super intense player. Gakpo on that left-hand side or in the centre today just doesn't seem to have that urgency on the ball. I do believe he's going to have quality with it, but off the ball, he's just incomparable to someone like Mane. Núñez isn't doing as much as Firmino used to do a few years ago off the ball. And that means that it's putting even more onus on the midfield to plug the gaps and to win the ball. But they're just not able to do it. No one's winning the ball anymore. No wonder teams are slicing through us. We seem to have gone from being a dominant side to playing 50-50 coin flip games to now actually being outplayed. The drop-off is drastic. Something has to change. And look, Klopp has done it before. We've had problems, particularly 2 years ago when all the defenders were injured and the midfielders started playing in defence. And he solved it. He's figured out how to get around the issues. He can do it again, but he has to do something soon, because this season is slipping away into nothing fast. We were 7 points behind Manchester United before today's game. We've lost again. Top 4 is completely out of reach at this point, the way this team is playing. If there's any good to come of this, maybe it's the kick in the butt for the owners that something has to be done in the midfield this January transfer window. Because if it's not, say goodbye to Champions League, who knows, say goodbye to European football altogether. And we're putting all our eggs in the Jude Bellingham basket. But the way this team is looking, why would he come to us? Hopefully, things improve soon, and I'll see you in the next video.